sum that one up, Jim?
Well, obviously not the result that we were hoping for this afternoon. I thought there was a real lack of quality in the game from both teams. Both teams obviously not having a great deal of time to recover in between the last game on Thursday. Obviously we've put a hell of a lot into that game on Thursday evening, and I just don't think the energy levels were where they needed to be this afternoon. With that said, players gave everything and kept going. The goal that we concede is really disappointing in terms of the fashion of it, where we don't do enough to stop the cross in the wide areas, and then unfortunately the ball falls really kindly to Penrice. A great finish, and you kind of felt in that type of game where there's not a great deal in it that one goal was going to be enough, and unfortunately this afternoon we find ourselves on the wrong end of it.
With that goal, Jim, did you just get unlucky because you just made the sub, the players probably weren't settled?
Yeah, I mean, look, hindsight's a great thing, I suppose. We've made changes throughout games in the past, and been really positive and had great impacts and got results off the back of it. This afternoon, unfortunately for the likes of Trappa and Glenn, that they don't even have time to settle into the game and make that type of impact we were hoping for before we find ourselves going a goal behind. You could argue, had Gallagher been on the pitch at that point and we stayed in the back three, would we have conceded that goal? Who knows? But we wanted to make a change. We wanted to get more pace, a bit more energy onto the park, and that's why we made it. We tried to win the game as opposed to just settling for the 0-0, and unfortunately this afternoon that's backfired. So as manager, I've got to take responsibility for that.
Can you talk us through your reasoning of taking Richard and so early?
Yeah, I mean, look, Ross Docherty obviously played the game on Thursday against Dundee. He's not long back from a lengthy injury, and we just felt 48 hours in between the game is not enough to recover. So we tried to protect Doc, and we gave Richard the opportunity. In terms of Miller-Thompson, reason behind that was to get a bit of pace at the top end of the pitch and try and go and stretch the game, but it never worked, unfortunately. We didn't get enough good quality balls in behind for Miller to go and use that good pace that he's got. And when the ball was going forward, Miller's game is not about backing into centre backs and retaining possession, so we felt we had to make that change and get Yort on for a bit more physical presence. And Richard, I just felt, had a real nervy start, a bit sloppy in possession, and we just felt that we had to bring Doc on there to try and calm things down a bit.
I imagine he's incredibly disappointed by that, obviously, because he's waited for a while for that opportunity.
Yeah, I mean, look, these things happen, unfortunately. I mean, there's nothing set in stone that if you start the game you're going to get at least 45 minutes. I've got to make decisions, and they're difficult ones, and I don't like upsetting anybody, but at the same time, there was still a good 10-12 minutes before half time, and we felt that we had to make the change because we weren't playing well. We weren't able to get up the park. Hearts had the far better of the first half, I thought, and we had to make those changes. Those boys are good players that we really believe in, and they'll get their opportunity again. We've got 2 massive games coming up now next week, with another midweek game against Celtic, and then a really short period in between the St Mirren game, which is it's not easy to manage because the players don't have enough time to recover, and me as manager, it's about trying to protect the players as best we can without weakening the team. We'll not be too downbeat. Obviously we're always disappointed when we lose, but given the run that the boys have been on, this is only our second defeat, I think, in 11 games, still sitting third in the table. I think if you'd have offered that to anybody with a Dundee United connection away back at the start of the season, and you said early January we would be in the position that we're in, I think everybody would have snapped the hand off you for that. I just think unfortunately today the game came too soon for us after the big game on Thursday night.
Is the schedule of games too much? Because there are a lot of games and you're not getting much. More like every team, there's not much time between the games.
Well, look, every team is in the same boat, and I've heard lots of managers talking about the fixture congestion. Just for me, I don't think 2 days recovery in between games is enough for players. It's you should really have at least 3 days minimum. Had the game been Wednesday and then the game Sunday, that's doable. But I think with the game being Thursday and then Sunday, it's very, very difficult to get the players back to 100% where you need them to be. So that's not an excuse because Hearts had a similar issue themselves, but it's definitely difficult. But it is what it is. We've had a great festive period up to now. Prior to today, our points return has been excellent, and like I said, we'll not dwell on this one too much. We just need to pick ourselves up and go again.
With that legginess in mind, how difficult is it going to be to have a team that's ready for the hardest challenge this league has?
Yeah, I mean, it's probably the most difficult game, going to Parkhead, Celtic in the form that they're in, obviously a great result again today. So we need to try and, make sure the players recover. I'll obviously be speaking to the medical team tomorrow. See, we've got a number of players carrying knocks and niggles, and so we'll see, what kind of team we've got available to us on Wednesday, and we'll definitely have one eye on the game on Saturday with St Mirren as well. So trying to get the balance right, putting a team out on the park on Wednesday that's good enough and competitive enough, that's capable of going and getting a result, and obviously with that quick turnaround into the Saturday game against St Mirren, it's important that we we leave enough in the tank to go and perform there as well.
Can you take that confidence obviously as well from the last performance against Celtic out there?
Yeah, I think Celtic at Parkhead is slightly different to Celtic away from home, but I thought the overall performance here against them in the 0-0 draw was very, very good without the ball. We recognise the fact that Celtic will no doubt dominate possession on Wednesday. They have done in every game up to now at home. The shape of the team and the discipline and that concentration levels need to be sky high, because we know that they're capable of on their day cutting you open. So making sure those distances are right, and getting pace in the team so that we can carry a threat on the counter-attack is going to be important.
David Babanski, is he still ill or something now?
Yeah, he was just recovering from an illness. Hopefully David will be available for the game on Wednesday. If not, should be back for Saturday.
Nice one. Cheers.
Okay, thanks guys.